Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I'm Gino Buccola alongside Ashley Mailloux with producer Bobby helping us out as we get you ready for some big action. It is Preakness weekend. The Preakness is going to be run over at Laurel Park this year, and those past performances are now available. So you can dive on in for Friday, Black Eyed Susan Day, Saturday, Preakness Saturday with the big race and all the undercard stake action. Get to shop.drf.com, past performances, betting strategies, and DRF picks available for Preakness Day. Ashley, let's take a look at the field for the Grade 3 Miss Preakness, where I did think kind of on paper it was at least going to be two horses that take a lot of the money in here with the one Little Miss Kurlin and the three Lights Out Lenny. And they're two sort of opposite end of the spectrum horses, whereas Lights Out Lenny, we've only seen race one time, but she was really, really good when she won her career debut at Aqueduct. Little Miss Kurlin, she has just been rock solid. She's run 6 times. Every time she's been on a fast dirt track, she's won. We can make a legit excuse because her only loss was on a sloppy racetrack. I thought those were kind of the two to start with.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think kind of looking at them, there's things to certainly like about both of them. I think this is going to be an interesting race from a pace perspective. I don't know what your thoughts were, Gino, in terms of the speed on paper. I mean, based on the debut, it looks like the three Lights Out Lenny, if she wants the lead, she can certainly get it in here. And I think a couple of others, they might still be very comfortable sitting and just trying to chase her in the final stages.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we flip to the Timeform US pace projector and we can start to go through the field here for this one, the three does look like the quickest. Then you have a lot of horses in this field that want to be close, and they could, if with a good start, they could be right there, or they could be sitting and pressing. So curious to see if Lights Out Lenny is able to use that speed as she has to step up in class here against tougher. Let's start out with Little Miss Kurlin. Actually, it's just really tough to knock this horse. She's won all 5 of her races on a fast dirt track, and it's not like she just comes over from Delta where she's been running at one track. She won at Delta. She won at the Fairgrounds. She won at Oaklawn Park last time out. And what was really impressive about that victory was she beat Open Company, and in a lot of her races prior to that, she was facing and kind of beating up on Louisiana breds in state bred competition. So this race was very good. She was sitting behind horses. She backed off to 4th. She got a really nice opening inside and she moved through, and then she kicked away and she really wasn't even asked late. I thought it was a visually nice win. And I mean, I just don't really have much to knock on this filly.
No, neither do I. And I think if you look at the lone bad start that you mentioned on the off track, I mean, the winner went gate to wire, and you often see that on an off track like that. French Friction was able to just kind of open up on the group. Loved that performance there. I really like her running style, Gino. When you look at her, last 3 wins, she is just comfortable sitting 2-3 lengths off of it, coming with one run, and is able to draw clear quite nicely. So it was nice to see that the runner up came back to win next out. That runner up, Have Faith, was the horse that was second in the lone race that she finished off the board.
You were talking about running style too. I completely agree. You see that when horses start to get a little bit more mature and start to really figure things out, where they don't just need to win right on the lead like Little Miss Kurlin did in her first couple starts. She's fine sitting. You can place her in the race now, and she just looks really, really nice. We move to Peach Tie, who is a horse who loves to win races and a horse who likes Laurel Park. This is where she's done the bulk of her really good work, where she's won 3 of her 4 career starts at Laurel with the runner-up effort. Most recently was just second last time out. She was in a 3-way photo where she finished second, and that was her first try going long, and she really looked like she was kind of just trying to figure that distance out late. And so I think cutting back to 6 furlongs here could really help give her a little bit more punch. I just don't know if she's quite on the class level as the top 2 that we're talking about. But if they go quick early, she might be one on the cutback that has a little bit more finish.
I completely agree with that. I mean, I also think it bodes well that she has plenty of experience at Laurel Park. You mentioned her cutting back in distance. I actually think she's pretty handy. I think she can go anywhere from 6 furlongs to a mile. I don't think that's necessarily 6 furlongs is better for her. I just think her running style, she's quite adaptive in that sense. So really have no knocks on her. I think this is a nice test in terms of class for this start, and we'll see what she can do here. But my one thing that I kind of agree with is she as good as the others? It's tough to say at this point. I know her figures are obviously softer than Little Miss Kurlin, the only other horse we've talked about, and we'll talk about some others, but it doesn't mean she can't jump forward.
You were pointing out something that we'll see a lot of on Friday and Saturday this week, where you'll get some of these mid-Atlantic horses who have been sharp, who have been picking up wins, and they'll step up and face tougher company, horses that are going to be shipping in like legitimate graded stakes company. And you'll have a lot of horses that'll get that acid test. And this one is one of them with Peach Tie. We moved to Lights Out Lenny, who was very good in that career debut. It was April 3rd at Aqueduct. Fast start, got company down on the inside, was battling in the two path, then cleared off and crossed over. And I mean, really was able to just kind of shut down late. I thought it was a nice performance there. That was a really good debut. She looks like she might be the quickest on paper on the Timeform US pace projector, but she may have company up front in here, and this is just going to be a classier spot for her. I trying to kind of poke holes in some of the shorter prices, but if she gets out front and she's able to duplicate what she did in this race, Ashley, she's going to be pretty tough in here on Friday.
Yeah, and it flatters her that the runner-up Directive, homebred for Juddmonte, came back to win next out just about 27 days later with a 91 buyer and did it by nearly 8 lengths. So I think that speaks a little bit more to her debut performance and the fact that sometimes you don't know when it's a short field what was really behind her when it was visually that impressive. But for her, this is a really nice move. It's not like she has to really stretch out. She's cutting back in distance, right? Sometimes you see 6.5, they go to 7 or they go to a mile and they try to push it. They're not pushing it. I mean, for her, this is perfect with that slight cut back in distance. She seems to be a horse that is pretty speedy in the mornings in general, but her last work is certainly going to catch the eye of so many. 59-3 back. What is this, like a week out from the race? So we'll see what she can do here. And sometimes you get a little weary at what price do you want to take a horse that was so strong on debut? Do they take a little bit of a step backward? Do they take a step forward? I have a feeling she will take a step forward.
Getting closer, broke the maiden last time out. She dropped into a high-level maiden claiming race. It was the first time in the Jack Sisterson barn. So she went right to the lead from the inside. She was always clear. She held pretty well. She has to prove to me that she can really pass horses because she's kind of been like a merry-go-round race horse where she's either got the lead and sort of run in the same position. She does have some speed to her inside and her outside, but that wasn't a bad effort from her last time out, putting it all together at Keeneland.
No, it wasn't. I really actually liked her second career start. I thought she took a big step forward, and then you kind of mentioned she just needed to do more in a lot of her races, wasn't able to do so, but then put it all together when in the barn of Jack Sisterson. Now she's cross-entered in another spot. We'll see what they do. I don't know. It's hard to say, but maybe they do out for the race in New York. This isn't necessarily an easy race for her, and from a pace perspective, she's going to be forward. I just don't know if she's quick enough to make the lead.
Tessellate lures Irad Ortiz Jr., who was aboard last time out for that win in Tampa. So she beat up on, softer foes at Tampa against Florida breds. She's won 3 of her last 4. She's already a multiple stakes winner against open company. So she's not just been a horse who's only done it against state breds. And she has a nice running style where she can sit off the pace and finish. So she comes in for Safi Joseph Jr. with Irad aboard. Really strong connections play in here. Do you give her a shot?
I do. I know she's 9-2, so it's not that sneaky of a play. But for me, Gino, when I look at her races, the one thing that I have to knock a little bit is the race 2 back, right? She got against some very nice fillies and she wasn't as competitive at Gulfstream Park, but it's nice that she bounced back, comes in here off a career best. I actually think the cut back to 6 furlongs works really nicely for her. I think with her running style, the way that she typically sits the trip, I have no issues with her cutting back. I think she's going to take another step forward on that. We'll just see if she's as good as a couple of the other fillies that we've talked about already. But do you get 9-2? That's a little bit of a question as well. I do think the other fillies are going to take love, but typically when you see Safi and Irad, you don't get a price like this, but maybe with the other fillies being in here, you do.
Yeah, I mean, just because her figures aren't quite so strong or overwhelming, but she does seem like she fits really well in here. And I agree with you. That's a fair price. Anything in that 4 to 5 to 1 ish range, I think it's a good fit in this spot. You get Late Night Text, who will be making the second start for Safi Joseph Jr. and did win first time in the Safi Joseph barn on April the 23rd. Sitting just off the pace, made an early move to the lead, opened up by 4 and held off the 7-5 favorite that day. Sources Dam was actually was 5 for 6, was grade 3 play. So there's a little pedigree there too. And we see a lot of times Safi can make some changes and get a horse to show some improvement like he did with this one. You think she can keep stepping forward off that 83 buyer last time out?
Yeah, the number certainly is the first thing I saw, and you kind of wonder where it comes from because her other races, I don't know, she sort of chased throughout in a lot of them and wasn't able to pass. And here, I thought she made a pretty early move in that race. They just did go a tick under 46 to the half. Time form has her out the back. I don't know if I agree with that based on the last out, Gino. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think she's necessarily the quickest filly in here, but is she going to be last early on? I don't see it.
No, I don't think so. And she, to me, is one of the wild cards because we've seen this so often with Safi, where he's able to make some adjustments, get horses to step up, and then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 races into his barn, they just look like a whole different animal. Maybe that's the case with Late Night Tex. I want to make sure we get a price kind of similar to what it is right here because I don't want to take too short. And if the other Safi Jr. takes the money in Tessellate, maybe we do get 8 to 1 or above in that range at Late Night Text. Let's round things out in this field, Ashley, with Victory Music, who is proven at Laurel Park, and one that you can probably just eliminate that synthetic race last time out over at Turfway. It's always a positive when you get someone like Flavian Pratt to jump aboard. And I like the 2-back race at Laurel, winning the stakes race, that extra heat, kind of battling it out, moving to the lead, and having to fight back on the inside. So Victory Music on paper overall, I don't have a lot to say negatively about. I just don't know if she's quite as good as the horses that we were talking about, the 1, the 3, who we started the conversation with. Victory Music rounds things out. Some thoughts on her?
Yeah, I'm curious to see what price she'll be. I think I could use her underneath in the exotics. Flavian climbing aboard might hurt that, but I think kind of looking at her races 2 and 3 back, I found them intriguing. She's been well traveled throughout her career. You mentioned the win at Laurel. I thought in the Astral Spa, maybe not the trip that she wanted, and she was clear of the rest of the field, but counting stars, much the best comes back to win next out. We know how she's been faring since then as a Kentucky Oaks horse, right? But to me, with that in mind, Time Form sort of has her mid-pack here, and I actually think that trip could work out really nicely for her, especially with the outside draw in here at the 6 furlong distance.
Somebody's going to get a graded stakes victory for the first time in this one. It's the grade 3 Miss Preakness. So, Ashley, let's move to selections here. I think you and I both sort of went with the logical horses on top, right? You're going to have little Miss Kurlin there. I'm going to have Lights Out Lenny there. Talk us through your top 4 selections in this one.
Yeah, same top three for us, a little bit of a different order. I don't really have a lot of knocks on a lot of the fillies in here. I think they all have been doing their thing. I think it's going to be interesting to see them all come together. And little Miss Kurlin now goes to the barn of Steve Asmussen. I think her running style plus the draw works out really nicely for her. And sometimes it's tough to read, state bred form once they go against the open, but we've already seen what she's been able to do. And I thought the replay that we showed from early April, that was to me the most visually impressive of the recent performances for the fillies. I do think, the horse that you go, Lights Out Lenny, also impressive, but just different, right? It's tough to say a horse that's undefeated 1 for 1 versus a horse that's 5 for 6. So I just thought the experience might hold a little bit more with the rail runner.
I'm not a numbers player, but these are my mom's numbers. She's a 135 tri boxer. So Carol, Mrs. B, we just had Mother's Day. I'll say, Mom, you got to get a bigger price in the tri box if you're going to put this one together, though. The 135 here is a little chalky for you. I'll go 3156 for Ashley, 1357 for you. We'd always love to hear from you. Drop a comment in the comment section below. Let us know, how are you playing the grade 3 Miss Preakness on Friday over at Laurel? Good luck.